I'm sure you have all heard this phrase too many times. It may be one of the saddest phrases in the English language, but it wasn't always. Once upon a time, families stayed together. Families worked together. Parents and children toiled in the field together. A business was also a family's home. These were good times, times that few of us remember. And along came the Industrial Revolution. Slowly but surely, mankind was pulled into the 9-to-5 workforce, hence the 1980 hit written and performed by Dolly Parton. And yeah, it really is enough to drive you crazy if you let it. But why does it drive you crazy? Because you work all your life to feed your family and pay your rent, but sometimes it's like you never even have time to actually bond with your family, right? I know it's exciting when you first get a job because it gives you financial hope, but soon enough, it just pulls you into this never-ending loop where your job is all you ever do. You wake up, you eat your scrambled eggs, and scramble out the door right away. You arrive at work, you count the hours until it's time to leave, and now you know what the Be Good Tanyas mean when they sing, "Minutes feel like hours and hours feel like days." Well, you probably know if you've seen Because of Winn-Dixie. The song is titled Opal's Blues, and if you have not seen this movie, I recommend it because it's a family-friendly feel-good. So then, it's finally time to go home. You arrive home, and you're so tired that it takes the amount of energy needed to power Las Vegas just to make dinner and get everybody tucked in. And tomorrow, you do it all again. You're in the rat race, and you're trapped. Really. This agonizing monotony is depicted in the short Happiness, created from the twisted genius imagination of animator Steve Cutts. It's a little racy, so don't watch if you're under 18. There, I warned you. You're so trapped that you don't think about the things you care about quite so much anymore. From remembering birthdays and anniversaries, to scheduling time to spend with your friends, poof, gone from your mind. We're just so busy that we end up forgetting about each other. But we can change that. One way to change that is to address a particular problem in the family unit. In the 1970s, men went from being the providers of their families to Scrooge McDucking their income. So the wives, slowly but surely, went from being in charge of the home to having to juggle a 40-hour work week, as well as being mommies and taking care of relatives. Over time, stay-at-home mothers were shunned, and as of the past few years, labeled Karens. This causes women to shy away from that necessary bonding time for them and their children. To make things better, all this shaming needs to stop. Just think, back when moms stayed at home and got to know their children, and dads shared their income with the family unit, things worked. There were fewer rifts between spouses. There were fewer rifts between parents and children. Now, I'm not saying that it must be the mom who stays at home with the children, as there are some nurturing dads, too. Either way, every family unit needs a parental provider and a parental nurturer. Do what works for your family unit. Now, let's look at renting a home versus owning a home. I know from experience that when you are paying rent to your landlord, sometimes the landlord can be a toxic person to be around. This actually makes you feel even more trapped, like your house is in this little snow globe that they can shake up anytime they want, like the trouble they stir up in your life. If you rent, home ownership may seem a little too grandiose right now, but fear not. My advice is to save up a small portion of money at a time, a small amount that you can afford to set aside, and try to only dip into it when you really, really need to. Before you know it, you might save enough to buy land of your very own. Now, I know this all seems like wishful thinking to you, but there are ways to make yourself unbusy every now and again. the activities that probably fill your day between waking up and going to bed are probably getting everyone dressed, eating breakfast, feeding pets, packing lunches for everyone, dropping the kids off at school, going to work, and staying for 8 hours straight, picking the kid up from school, feeding pets again, making dinner, and bedtime routine. Right? Now, I don't know everybody, but that's just my rough guess. Now, think about the few minutes in between each of those activities. Life is so fast-paced that it seems like those few minutes aren't there, but they are, and they're precious. It's what you do with them that counts. Grasping the value of these moments can make them seem to last longer. Take them to do something together as a family. The family can play a board game or charades together, or simply exchange jokes. They can also exercise together. It can be anything, from yoga to push-ups and sit-ups to shooting hoops in the driveway. It doesn't really matter as long as it's done as a family. If it helps, by all means, mark it on your calendar, write it on your to-do list to find this window of time to create these family moments. Also, think about the weekends or whatever days you have off. Do you have friends from your childhood that it seems like you're losing your connection with? I know. I've been there. You're always busy. They're always busy. Find out what days they have off. Do you and them have any days off in common? I like to use that time to meet my friends at the park, but it's up to you how you use it. And I know how sometimes even that's not an option. I would suggest using these few minutes in between your schedule that I just talked about to call or text them to make sure they are all right. You can even just say nice things about them to them. Trust me, they need it. So, we, the people, have the power to get unbusy.